Well, this is Edward. I wanted to record a quick raw video about B2B cold email lead gen. And I'm going to be talking about basics today for B2B business owners that own businesses that typically make more than 50,000 a month. They want to scale to closer to the 500K, 1 million a month range, and they want to sell that company. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context today. We'll talk about some philosophy stuff related to sales and marketing, and then we'll talk about some of the beliefs about marketing and sales and some of the goals that are important to go for. And then I'll talk about kind of the most cost efficient way of going about it right now in the market. So let's start with a little bit of context. First of all, I've done a little bit more than 10 million in sales and marketing for different B2B services and different companies and high ticket info as well. So that's just a little bit about myself last 7 years, I would say. So it's important to understand that I've done some of these key concepts and key things that I'm going to be sharing about. So it's going to help you along the journey as well as a business owner. Now, as far as philosophy with marketing in general, you need to really understand that whenever you're doing marketing, you need to look at marketing as math and actually creative stuff, which is art. So it's a combination of math and art. The best marketers I know, they know both of these things fairly well. So it's really more about the math side is tracking and analytics and understanding what happened after you've done a specific action. And then the creative stuff is more about the idea, the offer, the messaging, the copy of that idea, and so forth. So you're kind of playing around with these two big components when you're dealing with marketing as a B2B business owner. Based on whatever offer you're selling. If you're selling IT consulting, if you're selling cybersecurity, if you're selling a marketing service, if you're selling a consulting offer, if you're selling a completely different service, it doesn't matter what service is, as long as it's a higher ticket B2B service, then you're kind of dealing with you're dealing with that philosophy. Now, as far as beliefs about marketing and sales, there are still a lot of beliefs from business owners that certain channels don't work or um, certain strategies don't work. And it's not really about the channel, it's more about the actual person who's doing the channel. I know very good guys that do advertising. I know very good guys that do cold email very successfully for B2B. I know very good guys that do inbound, outbound, cold calling, or any other channel. So it's more about understanding your space, the pain points of your market, your offer, and then mastering a particular channel. And I would always focus on one channel at a time in a business, because if you can't figure out a channel, it's a very low likelihood that you're going to figure out other channels, right? So I'm going to be focusing on that. So that's just one of the beliefs I see in marketing and sales related to business owners in B2B. The second belief that I also see is that people want to get results very, very quickly. But as far as this process, if you're getting started, you're completely new to this and you've never done, or maybe done a few providers in the past, maybe you've used a few service providers and they didn't work, you can't just expect very, very, very quick results. What I mean by very, very quick is like less than 2 weeks, because sometimes there's a lot of things going in the background within your company that they don't know about, or there's a lot of things as far as technology setup. So it's just not realistic. You need to think about cold email from a long-term perspective as well. But there's a few variables that I'm going to be talking about that is going to help you get quicker results as well. So let's talk a little bit about goals in marketing, because you should have very particular sets of metrics where you're going to be looking into. And a lot of different agencies or service providers or companies that provide some of these things, they look at the wrong metrics. And also the business owners look at the wrong metrics when they deal with this stuff. So we want to understand exactly how much we're paying to get a customer every time we do any channel, right? So in this particular case, we're doing a cold email. So we want to understand how much is it going to cost to generate a customer, which is very difficult to track if you're getting started in this process. So you need to understand how to do it. And then you also need to understand how much money you're going to make from each customer or over that particular lifetime that they have in that service or that product or that community or that coaching or whatever type of business you're doing when you're selling B2B. So a few quick ways on how you need to identify that is you need to look at two specific metrics. So you need to look into cost per qualified lead, and you need to look at earnings per qualified lead over that lifetime value, over that exact lifetime, right? And earnings per qualified lead, also you need to look into cash collected up front on day one, not the revenue you're generating from that customer. So let's say you've sold a 250,000 contract revenue or $1 million contract in revenue, but really you're getting paid 20% of that right away. You're not really getting paid 100% right away because there are maybe key milestones or projects you need to complete until you get paid that other amount. Any type of service you're selling in any type of space, construction, IT, you're not really going to get paid 100% up from most of the time if it's a big contract. Okay, so you need to be able to track it in a way where you're looking at cash collected up front on day one. What kind of deposit we're putting, what kind of advance payment we're doing, right? So that's a very important metric. A lot of people track cost per lead, and I just deleted that because if you're looking at cost per lead, it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really show you the actual quality of that funnel. There might be a lot of leads that you're getting, but they're not as qualified for your business type. It needs to be like almost like an ideal avatar with all the specific metrics around that ideal avatar. Maybe the age, maybe the type of business, maybe the revenue, maybe the employee size, maybe specific technologies they're using or specific things they need to be having in place to be able to get them in. So typically, in a very serious B2B environment, you should have 10 to 20 different qualifiers within an avatar. Because if you don't have as many, what happens is you don't actually have an understanding of who's a very, very good lead and who's not so good as far as your funnel and your process and your campaign. Now you need to also understand costs and mediums and what's going to drive costs on all the mediums, because in different sectors you might have completely different costs, right? You might have when you're selling in commercial construction, you might have a completely different cost than when you're selling to commercial in a different space, or even if you're doing mass kind of like a lot of volume of emails to a lot more people, a lot of type of businesses, you might have also different cost because there's a lot more volume of businesses and you sell a particular different service that's maybe a lower tier. Like it doesn't cost $100,000 or more. It costs way less than that. So you're going to have a different cost and earnings potential. So you need to understand those things. Now, so far, one of the main reasons why I'm talking about B2B cold email, it is because it is by far still the most cost-effective way of doing deals and getting deals done in the pipeline for any B2B business owner or service provider. Now, of course, email has a lot of case studies. So in the B2B world, high-ticket world or enterprise world, it has kind of two functions. There's the inbound function and there's the outbound function. So as a business owner, you need to understand both of those strategies to be able to get leverage. Now, the highest level one, of course, is when you are getting inbound leads coming to you. You're either collecting those opportunities by having a newsletter, by having organic followers on either LinkedIn or any other platform. Maybe you're doing Twitter or X, or maybe you're doing some other platform, YouTube, and you have a newsletter or you have a specific thing that you're selling and people come to you from that channel. And they're subscribing to something, or maybe they're just completing some of your information on your website and they're reaching out to you from that. So inbound by far the highest lever, and you should be focusing on reaching out to those people as fast as you can. If you don't do that, you're really, that's kind of a highest priority. If I were to be in B2B right now in a firm in B2B, and you're getting a reply from somebody who's requesting something in particular, and you're not reaching out in less than 5 minutes, you've almost lost that opportunity in that world, because there's so many things that they do. There's so many things you're looking for. There's so many competitors. There's so much content that if you're not doing that right away in a personalized manner, you're typically going to lose that opportunity, or you're at least the conversion rate is going to drop tremendously on that deal. So that's kind of our first channel. The second one is, we're going to talk a little bit more about the second one, because the first one has so many different case studies, and I didn't really break down all the case studies possible in the first one. The second one essentially is you're using targeted tools, but you could pull lists of businesses, and you're going to be enriching some of those lists of businesses with different data points and different insights and different tools such as Apollo, Trigify, Clay, and there's a lot of different other tools that are very good that you can use so that you can build lists of businesses, of owners of companies that you're going to be reaching out to and personalizing the emails to, so that you can get replies and sell your particular service. That's really what this is about. So it's essentially super specific based on the niche and your offer, and needs to be analyzed properly. And there's no such thing as a template, but you're going to be getting from someone or somewhere, and you're going to be getting results of that template. There are principles and philosophies and systems on how you need to build that process, but it's always essentially testing. And I'm going to give you the system right now. I'm going to give you some examples essentially, right? Now, one of the most important things when you're doing this stuff is setting up an infrastructure. Because if you want to get results, you need to understand that volume is going to help you get results. You can't really just send 20 messages a day and get results nowadays. It's just not going to happen. Now, what typical infrastructure you're going to get in this world is you're going to have multiple domains. And it kind of depends on your target market. It depends on what business service you're offering or B2B offering you have. And then you're also going to have multiple business email accounts or multiple mailboxes per each domain you have. So typically you have 3-4 different accounts, email accounts for each domain. So let's say to start with, if you want to start slower, you're going to have, let's say, 10 domains, right? Now with each domain, you're going to have, let's say, 3 different accounts or 4 different accounts. Now, from each of those different accounts, let's say you're going to send 30 emails a day to warm that up properly, not go into spam. You can do, even in some cases, up to 50, but let's say you just do 30. So if you do 10 by 30 and you do that by another 3, you can calculate roughly how many emails you can send a day. In some cases, you can go up to sending 1,000, 2,000, even more emails a day into your market to be able to get B2B replies related to your business model, and you can get qualified people to talk to you. So that's kind of the infrastructure point. Now, what happens is you need to be able to find decision makers, of course. So in your case might be CEOs, in your case might be CMOs or COOs or whatever. And you want to understand completely the pain points you're going to have in the market. Of course, you're probably an expert at understanding what your solution is solving. So that way you can maybe get their attention by talking about some of the key pain points they have. And then you're essentially defining, okay, so these are the decision makers we want to email to get the most amount of replies from that market. And now what you're going to be doing is you're going to be finding a custom database or a tool or both to be able to pull some of those emails so that you can actually build a campaign, right? When you're building that campaign and you're getting some of these emails, you want to look into the addressable market. So you want to do a campaign with enough volume. You can't just go in and actually start sending emails to 100 companies and as I said, expect to get results. You're going to need a bigger list to test. So I would typically start with 10,000 plus different companies to do a test, and you can pull a granular database of 10,000 different businesses to do a little bit of a bigger test and see what's going to happen. If you're doing 1,000 emails a day, let's say, or 500 emails a day, and you have 10,000 opportunities to hit, what's going to happen is you're going to run out of leads in between 10 to 20 days. That's what it means. So that's in a few weeks, essentially. So you still need to build a total addressable market that allows you to at least do a test in between 10, 20 days and optimize based on that marketing test you've done in that campaign. Essentially what you do is you pull those emails, you validate those emails, meaning you want to make sure those emails from those tools are verified for either a third-party data tool, such as Million Verifier, I think it's called. And there's other tools that do that as well. I think Apollo.io also has this tool inside that they essentially give you a filtering mechanism to allow you essentially to filter the verified emails, right? Now you can do that one, and you can do the other tools as well on top of that one to just get more granular data. Clay also has an option to essentially use all of our tools and do it at the same time, and it would allow you to just get all the right emails at the same time. So we're using all the actual lead sources available, like Apollo and other tools like that. And Clay is definitely a good option to get into if you're in B2B. So essentially what you do is you get that list and you start the campaign. You upload those lists of businesses into an email tool, which can be different tools. I'm not going to go into the tools right now, but it could be Instantly, it can be Smart Lead, and there's other ones. And when you upload that in the tool, you essentially use all your email. You use all your emails that you build, and you integrate those emails into that tool, the email tool, and now you go back into emailing all these individuals at once. So you have your email accounts integrated within the email tool. You have a list, which is the assets you've already bought or you build, and you have that integrated into the email tool. So now you can start building the campaign and building the messaging. And this is where this gets very nuanced and tricky. And this is where you need an expert, and you also need the CEO of, or the actual person of a business that understands the mechanism of offer you're doing, and the pain points and the challenges and the goals of those individuals that go for your offer, so that when that expert that knows cold email works within that CEO in that environment of that business, they can clearly define and just create a better messaging. That's how it really actually works. That's how you're going to get the best results, is by getting an expert A player person that understands the marketing game and the channel and the technology, and then they will get mentored or trained by the CEO or your management team or your company to the specifics of a market, so that they can combine all their forces and just get it done. That's how I saw like the biggest success stories and case studies in the marketing world. But that's how they essentially happen. So there's just a little bit more about the campaign. Now, what you need to do is, when you're starting a campaign, you're building the messaging. The number one kind of component there is going to be testing open rates. You want to actually do a campaign that has multiple sequences on the first message, meaning you're not just sending one message with one subject line and you're testing that to 1,000 contacts. Is you're doing one message with different subject lines to understand which open is actually performing, which open rate is going to be higher. Is it going to be subject line number 1 or subject line number 3? I typically do 5 on the first message to identify, okay, so subject line number 4 is doing 67% right now versus the other ones that are doing 35 and 45, which is not performing as well, right? When we identify that subject line, what we do is we scale that subject line. And then we start setting up sequences based on that subject line and sequences based on the messaging of that actual campaign that is working better. Now, once you actually scale once you scale the open rates, what's going to happen eventually is you're going to start typically receiving replies on that email, because you're actually more people are opening your emails. Instead of 300 people or 100 people opening the emails every day, you're having a lot more people opening them. Like 300 people are opening. So because a lot more people are opening, in general, you're going to start seeing replies. And what's going to happen is you're going to track what replies you're getting, what replies you're not getting, what replies you're getting that are interested, what replies you're getting that are not interested. That's what I meant. And then you're going to analyze if you need to change something in the copy depending on what is the reply rate. The reply rate should be on a 5 to 7 email sequence. It should be in between the 1% to 5% reply rate, from which around 40 to 50% should be still positive and in a lot of different spaces. That's what I see in different offers. Now, after you get all the replies, of course, is you need to have a clear not only email sequence, but also pre-call sales process. Because all these people that are interested, you need to pre-call them to nurture them so that they can get a lot more value from your business, because you're probably getting emails from other people as well. So you need to have a full system related to how you're going to pre-call them before you even get them a call. Because this is how you're going to differentiate yourself in the process, is by pre-calling some of these guys. Now, also, when they get on the call, you need to have a full process on what's going to happen on that call. Is it going to be a multi-call process? Is it going to be a free call process in your space? You need to have a clear sales process. It might be the case that what worked for you in the past from referrals, what worked for you in the past from other channels might not work in this exact channel because it's cold, it's going outbound, and you need to develop a new process, okay? So having an expert that understands not only how to email, but also the pre-call process, the call process, and then the post-sales process, nurturing process, which is the follow-up game. And you need to use a multi-channel approach, which could be LinkedIn, advertising, retargeting, calling these individuals, DMing them on different platforms, by getting them closer to the decision-making process, or those individuals closer to the decision-making process, because maybe you're an enterprise, right? And you need to get more people to react to a certain sales process. So those things are going to be super important for you to do and have in place. All these infrastructures. This is an infrastructure. This is a different infrastructure. This is a different system. This is a completely different system. Understanding how to quickly scale and open a subject line that actually works, and quickly identify if a copy is going to work, and quickly identify if you have a right reply rate in that campaign as well, is going to be defining if your campaign is winning or not, and how many leads you're getting and how many deals you're closing. Now, I would definitely say that a lot of people still get replies from businesses. One of the biggest problems I see is that this is not getting done properly. The pre-call, the sales process, and the post-sales process. This is actually a big problem, because you need to have humans. You still need to have humans that understand the offer and the pain points and the people. And without this is going to get this is not going to have that much value. So you need to be able to combine both, I would say, in most cases. And I have an example here below as well. So targeting businesses with proven track record, identifying triggers using tools like Clayapole, Triggerfire, or LinkedIn and social. Again, the channels is email, LinkedIn, phone call, text, WhatsApp, IM, cost, lowest, really not lower. And this is a message. You can review the message, but essentially it's just saying basic stuff. So, hey, name, I saw a success story with XYZ company, which is their company, very impressive. With our solution, specifically your solution, we help exactly get rid of a pain point, and it needs to be a bleeding neck problem in X amount of time without different concerns they have or different objections that market has. We done this for X brand and they did a outcome in this amount of time, let's say. Would you like me to send over more info? So it's essentially getting a yes reply. Once you get a yes reply, that yields to a lot of opportunities coming to you, and you contacting these opportunities and warming them up and opening up conversations and having that pre-call sales process, as I mentioned. Now, again, this is super generalized. I wouldn't really look into this if you want to get very specific, but this is an idea of how this is going to work as a first message. And then you're going to have 4 or 5 hour messages, and you're going to be emailing a lot of companies every day. And this is by far the most cost efficient way to do B2B deals. And I think cold email is actually very good right now for getting deals done. You can close deals in between $20,000 to up to millions of dollars doing exactly this process and mastering the process in your space. So hopefully this wasn't too boring for you, but if it was, let me know what I can change in the process. I want to build more videos like this for business owners specifically, just basic stuff. If you want a lot more stuff about this, let me know in the comments below what should I do as far as next videos. I want to release more courses for free for business owners to be able to help them. If you want a lot more implementation from our firm, just reach out to me, and I'm going to probably put a book a call link, and also I have a newsletter that you can subscribe to as well. Thank you very much. Have a nice one.